a very important question to ask you. When was the last time you laid out under the stars and watched the Milky Way swirl overhead? That you observed the twirling of our galaxy and observed the majesty of the spangled sky above? When is the last time you sat beside a body of water and watched the tide flow in and out? The ripples, the currents, the waves that slowly buffeted the shore. Did you watch how the water flew over rocks or trees or debris and the peace and tranquility that it brings with it? Have you sat at a campfire and watched the transformation of physical matter into light? Have you seen solid suddenly become something ephemeral, smoke dancing in the wind, a smell of cedar burning? One of the reasons I love connecting with the natural world is the sense of awe and majesty that it brings us, that we can observe deep, profound, spiritual truths from the way plants grow, from the way seasons change, from the ebbing of dark to light as the morning comes. I cannot help but look at a beautiful glen or a patch of trees or one of my beautiful pets, my 2 dogs or my cat, and see the perfection and the beauty and the lessons present just in their mere existence. So then the question arises, how can I and we see the perfection and see the beauty and the tranquility and the godliness, in the broadest sense of the word godly, heightened, majestic, beyond the mundane? How can we see all that in the beautiful world around us, but struggle to see it in ourselves? How come we, and myself is very much included in this, how come we stare into mirrors critically? How come we incessantly Photoshop and filter and tweak? How come we observe our stretch marks, our back knee, our wonky bits, our bones that curve the wrong way, our leg that is not shaped as it should be? How come we witness them with such a critical eye, with such a sense of disdain, with such a sense of needing to be fixed? Why do we do the same with our emotions, our emotional landscape, saying I'm broken? These things happened to me, they destroyed me, they broke me apart into 1,000 shattered objects, and I have barely put myself back together. Why do we do this to ourselves, but we don't do this to the natural world? Have you ever swam in the ocean and thought, my gosh, that coral, that fish, that porpoise is wrongly made, that sea turtle shouldn't look that way? When we were living out in the countryside in Maryland, there was this park we would go walk in every day, and shortly after you entered the park there was this old tree that at some point had begun to bend and eventually broke. It arched over the pathway in a way that looked uncomfortable. But what was interesting about this tree is at some point after it had broken, it continued to grow, and out of the top of the arch 3 new branches started to grow vertically towards the sky. It was as if 3 trees were growing out of one. If that story had ended with the bending and the breaking of how the tree was originally growing, it would have been a sad story. But the narrative didn't end there. The tree kept flourishing, it grew in new and unexpected ways, and we marvel at it now as a thing of beauty, a thing of unexpected grace. And how too is it in the story of our lives? We're so quick to judge and be critical of our growth patterns, the way we've been shaped by the currents of life, while we're still in the midst of our story. No one's journey, and I mean no one's journey, is a straight shot from pubescence into adulthood into old age. No one says at 16, I'm going to be this kind of person, and that is precisely how their life unfolds. Our development, the narrative of our lives, take unexpected switchbacks and curves and swishes and knots. And in the moment they can feel quite uncomfortable. But the cool thing is that when we start to look back at the paths we've trod, at the routes we've taken, even if they seemed haphazard and sometimes contradictory, sometimes unnecessarily complicated, or even going nowhere, when we look back we can see that there is divine beauty in it. We can look back at our perceived faults and see them as something magical and wonderful and sacred. Sometimes when we stand in the forest, we notice the broken trees, the fallen logs, the parts that are diseased or aging too quickly, and think what a shame it is. But when we take a step back and observe the forest as a whole, we see the perfection. We see how all the various puzzle pieces fit together. And this is the grace I want to have for my own life, and it's the grace I invite you to have for yours. To see your whole journey, to see your whole self as sacred, as beautiful, as perfect in the way it is, even if it's not what you expected, even if it's not what you wanted, even if it's what you deeply despised. To see, just like the environment around you, there is God here. There is life here, and the stories written on your face and carved into your skin are something truly, truly wonderful. If only you give yourself the permission to see it, if only you give yourself the grace to accept that what you are is nothing less than God incarnate. You are the divine made flesh, and so is everyone else, but you're no exception to it. Just like every tree and every fish and every owl and every creature on this planet is something divine, so too are you. And so, if you have the awareness to see the perfection in life around you, can you be kind enough to offer that to yourself? Can you see that you too are part of a tapestry so colorful and diverse that in the moment following a one specific thread you can't see how it fits in, but when you take a step back and observe the piece overall, how beautifully everything in your life wove together to make up the fabric of you. I'm Kaelan, and this is Ecstatic Self. Blessings to you.